everybody out there? Psych Life here. I hope everybody's having a great day, a great afternoon, a great evening, a great night, depending on where you are in the world across the 7 continents. And today I wanted to talk about a subject that's dear to my heart. Because if you've been following the Psych Life platform for a while, whether it be on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, on the website, whatever it is, or you just been following me as an individual around, you would know what got me into psychology and helped me create the brand, the Psych Life brand, as you see right before your eyes. And that was my little brother growing up being diagnosed with autism, because growing up in 2003, I believe, or maybe even younger, but I think it was 2002, just a year into his birthday, he was diagnosed with autism. And I'll never forget how no one in my family knew about the disorder. We didn't know what it was, what it meant, what was the treatment involved, what were the implications for my little brother. And it was tough on all of us. And there's no words I could put to describe what he means to me or my family. And, you know, I'm just going to take the opportunity to let everybody know autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. They call it neural because there's brain structure implications involved. They also call it a developmental disorder because there's delays in their development. So, for example, we all meet developmental milestones in our life more or less around the same age. If you grab any animal, they're also going to meet similar milestones. But what happens when someone is really developmentally delayed? And it's because there's not only is their brain structure somewhat structured differently, but it's displayed through an array of symptoms such as having difficulty socializing with others, having trouble developing language, having trouble understanding nonverbal cues, having trouble giving nonverbal cues and expressing that they need or want something. They also may have some difficulty developing some fine motor skills. And these are just very basic symptoms for autism. And before 2013, there were many developmental disorders. And just to name a few, such as Asperger's syndrome and child disintegrative disorder, Those two disorders now fall, as of 2013, when the DSM-5 came out, which is a diagnostic manual for psychology. They're all grouped under the autism umbrella, because they all are developmental disorders. So why am I telling you all this? I mean, you guys could easily check out the podcast that we've created last year regarding autism with Dr. Bridge. But I'm telling you this because there's been a couple recent events that have happened concerning the disorder that I thought was important for everybody to be aware of. For one, recently right here in Miami, there was a 9-year-old whose name was Alejandro Ripley, who was thrown into the water by his own mother. And he had all the symptoms of autism. He was diagnosed with autism. All his teachers knew, his family knew. And, well, this child was thrown into the water 2 times into the lakes. The first time, there were neighbors that came out and rescued the child. The mom asked for the police not to be called because she blamed the disorder as to why he jumped in the water, which wasn't true. She threw him in. Then the second time around, which was about 2 hours later, she went to a different lake, threw the child into the water. He drowned, and, you know, now she's in custody. The family's in shock, and no one knows as to why she did it. And this just goes to show the difficulty involved with families and not being able to handle the realization and the effort that goes into having someone diagnosed with autism in your family. Because really, when someone's diagnosed with autism, everybody must come together to build a strong social support network for that individual so they can prosper through life. Just to add a couple to the symptoms of someone that's diagnosed with autism, and I'll give you some examples because I mentioned some, but those don't really do it justice. Repetitive behaviors. Imagine if you had a brother or sister that when they constantly became overstimulated, but when they became overstimulated, they couldn't talk. Instead, they jumped up and flapped their hands. Or what happens if you had a brother or sister that they couldn't communicate to you, hey, I love you or I appreciate you? That would probably be really tough on you too. And it's tough on everybody in our and it was tough for everybody in our family. But it makes you really challenge your perspective as to what's important in life. Um, and You realize early on when this happens, even though I was only 12, and my family as well, on how special an individual is and how money isn't really everything. Because at the time when my brother was diagnosed with autism, my family didn't really have a lot of money. And we were just a lower income, middle class family, but all of a sudden all our resources had to go to providing my brother therapy. Now things have changed. There's more help from the government because there's an increase in awareness thanks to so many great organizations, like Autism Awareness and so many other ones. So once again, let me bring it back down. Alejandro Ripley, he's dead, and it was all. And he was the first time around. He was thrown into. And so to continue on, Alejandro Ripley, he was thrown into the water. He couldn't verbalize that he, was thrown in, and so the mom was able to use that he was autistic, that he just went inside because he didn't know. And video is almost to create an awareness for all of you out there on the importance of becoming aware about the subject matter, because there's the rates of autism has increased, and there's been a lot of speculation as to why that is. Some say that it's a lot easier to diagnose with someone with autism spectrum disorder than it was 50 years ago. But I feel the people who say that, they're so short-sighted, because anyone who meets someone that's diagnosed with autism can clearly see that that person is developmentally delayed. Once again, they're behind on their development. They may be a year later than usual, or maybe even a year and a half later than usual, to be toilet trained at what would be a typical age, which is around age 3 or so, latest typically. Someone might take a little longer to learn. They might take a little longer to learn languages. They tend to have trouble creating categories, and once they do, they like sticking to those categories. And so this is a subject that's obviously very dear to my heart, and also to the Psych Life brand in general. But there was another incident recently that really caught my attention, which was, I think it's about 2 days ago, in Israel. There was a Palestinian man. In this case, it wasn't a boy. His name was Iyad Halak. And he's a 32-year-old who, when scheduled, he would go to his treatment center to receive treatment, behavioral treatment, where they were teaching him employment skills. Now, remind you, once again, Iyad Halak, he was nonverbal, meaning that he did not necessarily speak to anyone other than his mom and his dad, because those are the people he felt comfortable around. And when he walked, he had unusual behaviors, like he was always looking down. And these type of behavioral patterns and rituals that those diagnosed with autism tend to develop is important for everybody to notice, because next time you're so quick to unconsciously judge. You see, that's the thing people don't understand, is that the stereotypes and prejudice that we have about others aren't conscious. They're unconscious biases that we have. You don't even know that you don't even know that you're doing them as you're doing them. You may actually and truly believe that you have no stereotypes and prejudice and that you are the most aware person in the world, but you are completely false, and you really lack insight into your own psyche. And I suggest you really start reading some psychology books or if you actually want to learn more, check out more about our platform. And I mean that with such sincerity and honesty, because this individual, Iyad Halak, was walking with his head down, and he was approached by Israeli police in an area of town that was known to have protesters, Palestinian protesters. And he didn't obey the Israeli commands. He didn't have an understanding of sides. That wasn't part of his paradigm. He was an innocent soul. Those diagnosed with autism, they don't create these type of logical reasonings that we do for things. And all of it, saying that, oh, a cop, I have to listen to them. So a lot of times those diagnosed with autism that are developmentally delayed, cognitively delayed, socially delayed, they don't understand these social cues. They have trouble reading them. They have to be taught through special educational programs and through ABA therapy, which is the most common form of therapy here in the United States. And that included Iyad Halak. And since he did not obey the police officers and he did not speak to the police officer, he was shot twice in the heart, like a dog on the street. And, this really bothers me because that could have been my brother. And I don't know if anybody out there knows anybody diagnosed with autism or not, but these kids are special individuals, and these people are special individuals because they don't complicate their lives through these categorizations that we do. I mean, we immediately, human beings, we tend to complicate everything by fitting things in boxes, and we don't even realize that we do. We fit all the animals in one box, and then we separate ourselves as human beings when really we're part of we do these crazy complex reasoning and logic our frontal lobe is responsible for, and we really miss the mark on things. And I hope this video suits you guys well, and it's just to raise awareness about autism, raise awareness as to what's going on around the world regarding those diagnosed with autism. That's two people that died that had the developmental disorder. They were diagnosed with it. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder that are dead because people couldn't handle the diagnosis. In this case, that was Alejandro Ripley's mom, who I refuse to say her name on this platform because she doesn't deserve any sort of acknowledgement. And obviously Iyad Halak, who the Israeli soldiers shot dead. This is not a video against police officers. It's actually a request for everybody out there to become more aware as to the developmental disorders and the disadvantages those diagnosed with these neurodevelopmental disorders face regarding autism spectrum disorder. So, I hope everybody's doing well out there. If you guys really enjoy the content, if you guys enjoy this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe. I hope to present more heartwarming contents like this more often because I think the world needs it. And sometimes I get so caught up in trying to be this educational specialist and stuff that I don't give enough of these heart-to-hearts. But this one really hit me hard, guys. And with that being said, I appreciate all of you for following the Psych Life platform all these years. And I hope to continue providing valuable content for all of you. And I really mean that, all right? And if you're a Psych Lifer, hey, why not? All right? Peace out. Take care and be safe. And don't forget to check out our website and our other social media platforms for more educational content. Self-reflection journal coming soon. All right?